When the car crash happened, I broke 2 ribs. The doctor asked for an emergency contact, and I told him I didn't have one. He looked at me the way someone looks at a hamster that's been returned to the pet store 3 times. It's been 14 years. Being on my own was something I was used to. At 10 o'clock that night, the live broadcast of the Emmy Awards suddenly went pitch black. Award-winning actress Scarlett, wearing a custom gown and 5-inch heels, kicked my hospital room door wide open. Next bed over, Uncle Frank's heart monitor immediately went off. The moment my ribs snapped, my life didn't flash before my eyes. What flashed through my head was, the client presentation tomorrow. I still hadn't changed the color scheme of the bar chart on slide 7. In the ambulance, a paramedic who looked fresh out of school stabilized my chest while telling me, "Don't panic, just relax and take deep breaths. Could you help me send a text?" He froze. "Tell my coworker Noah that the blue on slide 7 of the presentation needs to be changed to dark gray. The client said last time their brand identity primary color is dark gray." He stared at me for 2 seconds, likely assessing whether pain had driven me delusional. I wasn't. It was just that after living 28 years, I knew one thing with absolute clarity: nobody in this world was going to cover for me. So everything had to be managed by myself, including broken ribs. At the hospital, the X-rays came back. Fractures on the left 4th and 5th ribs. No pneumothorax, no surgery required, just conservative treatment. The attending physician, Dr. Vance, was in his early 40s, wearing wire-rimmed glasses and speaking with professional gentleness. "The fractures aren't too severe, but you'll need to stay under observation for at least a week." He flipped through my chart, his pen pausing over a blank space. "Fill in a family contact number here." "I don't have one." Dr. Vance's pen hesitated. "Parents?" "Gone. 14 years ago." "Spouse?" "Never married." "Siblings?" "Only child." He set his pen down and looked at me over the top of his lenses. I knew that look all too well. It was the pet store look, a hamster returned 3 times, sitting in wood shavings nibbling sunflower seeds while a clerk walks by, sighs, and quietly walks away. "Son, someone needs to bring you food while you're admitted," sign forms. "I'll order delivery." As for signing forms, my right hand isn't broken. I can do it myself. Dr. Vance's lips twitched, but in the end, he wrote none in the emergency contact slot. He brought down that final stroke heavily, like nailing a casket shut. I was wheeled into a second-floor orthopedic ward. A 4-bed room with only 2 occupants. Lying on the bed near the window was a man in his 50s with a cast on his right leg, holding his phone up and blasting short videos loudly enough to penetrate 2 concrete floors. Seeing me wheeled in, he took off his reading glasses and sized me up. "Hey kid, how'd you get hurt?" "Car accident." "Bad?" "Broke 2 ribs." "Whoa," he grinned, slapping his plastered leg. "I missed a step on the stairs. Put us together and we've got 1 upper body, 1 lower body, a fully complete cripple." His name was Frank. 53, retired factory worker. Warm-hearted. Talkative. Gossip-loving. Loud. In the coming days, I would develop a deeply complex set of feelings toward him, somewhere right between wanting to smother him with a pillow and genuinely thanking him. But that was later. Uncle Frank glanced at my nightstand. Empty. No thermos, no fruit basket, no visitors' flowers. Not even a cup of water. "Where's your family?" "Don't have any." "Nobody came to see you?" "No, I mean I literally don't have family." He fell silent for 2 seconds. Then, with a speed I never saw coming, he whipped a drumstick out of his thermos container and slammed it down onto the edge of my bed. Eat. I don't eat. The chicken drumstick almost smashed into my face, leaving grease on my fingers. 8:40 p.m. I sat on the hospital bed gnawing on the drumstick. Every time I chewed, a dull, aching throb resonated from my left ribs. Rain fell outside the window. Down the corridor, a nurse pushed a medication cart, its wheels squeaking softly against the linoleum. Uncle Frank's wife arrived at 9:30. A round-faced woman carrying a 2-tiered tiffin box, who scolded him the moment she walked through the door, told you not to walk while staring at your phone. She emptied his urinal, made his bed, and on her way out, glanced at me and pulled 2 oranges from her bag, placing them on my nightstand. Son, if you need anything, just ask Frank. Don't be shy. Uncle Frank piped up, no point asking me, I'm stuck lying down myself. His wife swatted him on the back of his head. The door closed. The patter of rain grew louder. Liam. Yeah? Really nobody? I stared at the ceiling. One of the fluorescent light tubes flickered erratically, buzzing softly. Really nobody. He turned over, his cast bumping into the bed rail with a sharp wince. Well, if anything comes up, you call me. Thanks. I closed my eyes. The rain, the hum of the fluorescent tube, and Uncle Frank's steadying snore, 3 types of white noise layered together. Drowsily, I seemed to stand at the entrance of the funeral home again. 14 years old, wearing my school uniform, clutching 2 death certificates in my hands. Bang! The entire ward shuddered. I jolted up from the bed, my ribs protested violently, sending an electric jolt of agony from my left chest to my back, making me see stars. Uncle Frank was startled awake too, swinging his cast off the mattress. Who's there? What's happening? Call 911. The door. The door to the room had been kicked open from the outside. Not pushed. Kicked. The hinges shrieked with twisting metal as the door crashed into the wall, rebounding before a hand caught it. Light from the hallway spilled in, cutting a sharp white strip across the floor. Standing against the backlight was a silhouette. A floor-length gown in deep wine red. The fabric caught the harsh overhead lights, casting shimmering glints from the cinched waistline all the way down to the hem. Extremely fitted waist. The train dragged along the floor, smeared with mud and water spots. 5-inch heels, with a stray piece of red carpet fringe snagged on one heel, looking like it had been violently ripped off somewhere. Her hair was half undone. The other half was held by a diamond clip, dangling crookedly near her ear. Breathing heavily. Her chest heaved. Her makeup wasn't ruined, but her eyes were bloodshot and red-rimmed. Scarlett. Best Actress winner at the Emmy Awards, the same Scarlett who, half an hour ago, was holding a trophy on live television delivering her acceptance speech. The same Scarlett whose endorsement deals had just crossed 8 figures. Right now, wearing a custom awards gown with a mud-stained hem, walking on heels sharp enough to be deadly weapons, she stood in the doorway of Ward 204 in the orthopedics wing of City General Hospital. She stared at me. Her lips pressed into a tight line, jaw set rigid. Liam. Her voice was raspy. She had probably run the entire way. I opened my mouth. Say you don't have family one more time. Her voice trembled. Not from tears. From fury. Between us lay 10 feet of vinyl floor, 2 empty hospital beds, and 14 years of tangled, intermittent ties. 2 heads poked through the doorway. One was her assistant Mia, disheveled hair, arms full of bags. The other was the night nurse on duty, mouth wide open in an O. And Uncle Frank was suspended in a bizarre posture over the side of his bed, his leg in the cast jammed against the guardrail, eyes practically bulging out of his sockets. The heart monitor started beeping frantically, beep 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 beep. Not mine. His. Let me clarify my relationship with Scarlett first. We weren't boyfriend and girlfriend. We weren't romantic flings. It wasn't some cliché movie trope about a CEO and Cinderella, and I wasn't Cinderella either. I was a structural engineer who drew CAD blueprints for a living. St. Vincent's Children's Home. A 3-story brick building in the old Southside district. In winter, the heating barely worked. In summer, there were only 2 electric fans. I arrived when I was 6. She was 3. 30-some kids crammed together, the oldest 15 or 16, the youngest still in swaddling clothes. When there wasn't enough food, older kids snatching steamed buns from younger ones was standard practice. When she first arrived, she was as skinny as a bean sprout. Anyone could push her around. I was 3 years older than her. It wasn't heroics, really. It was just, she stood in the corner of the cafeteria, eyes red, staring at her stolen bun, biting her lip without making a sound. That stubborn grit reminded me of how I felt when I first came to the home. So I shared half my food with her. Later, it became a habit. She followed me around calling me Liam, shivering in winter when the heater broke, and I'd give her my blanket, even though my own teeth were chattering, a fact I swore to deny to my grave. When she was 11, she was adopted. A couple who invested in film and television took a liking to her looks and that relentless spirit of hers. The day they signed the papers, a black sedan parked outside the children's home. Before getting into the car, she turned back to look at me. No tears. Her lips bitten white. I stood at the gates and waved at her. Go on. After a moment, I added, take care of yourself. As the car pulled away, its taillights rounded the corner down the alley and vanished. What came next doesn't need much explaining, the whole nation knew. Debuted at 15, won Best Newcomer at 18, starred in a blockbuster period drama at 20, and crowned Best Actress at 23. Along her path, the words children's home never appeared in her public background. Her management team packaged her as a well-bred girl from an intellectual family, a narrative her adoptive parents played along with seamlessly. As for me, naturally, I had no place in her public storyline. That was right. I was a structural engineer making $8,000 a month, living in a shared rental apartment for 6 years. Dragging a top-tier A-list star into my realm wouldn't do her any favors. Our sole connection was, every month, she transferred money into my bank account. $3,000. Clockwork. I'd get the transfer notification, wait 3 seconds, and send it back. She'd send it from a different account. I'd refund it again. She used bank teller wire transfers. I went to the branch to reject the transfer. This went on for 7 solid years. Like 2 stubborn mules grinding a millstone. So when she kicked open my hospital room door, truth be told, my first thought wasn't how is she here. It was that door is public property. Breaking it means paying for it. Liam. Her heels clicked closer, click, 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 striking the linoleum floor with crisp, authoritative force. I instinctively sat up a bit straighter. My ribs immediately filed a formal complaint. Don't, I started. She was already standing right beside my bed. Looking down at me. Her eyes were burning red, bloodshot, her nostrils flaring softly with quick breaths. How many broken? 2. Which side? Left. 4th and 5th. Where are the x-rays? Nightstand drawer. She bent down, pulled open the drawer, extracted the X-ray envelope, and held the films up against the light fixture. The train of her gown swept a deep crimson arc across the floor. The diamond clip in her hair hung crookedly, half dangling off her ear. The focus with which she examined the scans was intense, brows furrowed, lips pressed thin. Looking exactly like her character, the forensic pathologist inspecting a corpse in the Riverbank murders. Except back then she wore a lab coat. Now she was wearing a custom gown worth 6 figures. No pneumothorax? No. Doctor, Vance said conservative treatment is enough. She slid the scans back into the sleeve and turned to face me. Conservative treatment. She repeated those 2 words, her voice ice-cold and flat. Admitted alone. Conservative treatment. Nobody to sign forms, nobody to bring food, nobody to make sure you don't roll over in the middle of the night and crush broken bones. Conservative treatment. Each syllable was spat out with biting precision. I knew she was furious. Though honestly, I didn't quite understand what she was so furious about. I can order to live, Liam. She cut me off. The red around her eyes deepened. Her lips trembled. Yet she didn't cry. Scarlett could weep poetically in front of cameras and move millions of viewers. Outside the lens, in real life, she never cried. When her food was stolen at the home, she didn't cry. When her knee bled from a scrape, she didn't cry. The day she was adopted, sitting in that car looking back at me, she didn't cry either. She just bit her lip. Bit it until it turned white. Do you think saying I have no family is that easy? I stayed silent. Do you think living alone for 14 years means you really have no one left? I still didn't say a word. Lee, your dress is wet, I said. You'll catch a cold. She froze. A 2-second pause of total silence. Then she took a deep breath and turned toward the door. Mia. Immediate frantic shuffling rattled outside the door. Her assistant Mia rushed in. Mid-20s, wearing glasses, draped in a puffer coat clearly thrown on in a rush, with the hem of a formal dress peeking out underneath. Clutched in her arms was a carry-on-sized duffel bag. Her phone was pinched between her ear and shoulder, and rainwater dripped in strands from her wet hair. She looked like she had just been pulled out of a washing machine. Scarlett, I've got everything, change of clothes, toiletries, power banks, iPad. Any hotels nearby? Checked. Nearest Marriott is half a mile away. Book 2 rooms. Already booked. Nutritional meals? Contacted a local soup house. First delivery tomorrow morning at 6:30. I sat on the bed watching them fire back and forth with military efficiency. I felt like a colony being formally occupied. The motherland had arrived wearing an evening gown, backed by her own logistics squad. Uncle Frank, lying on the bed opposite, was absorbing the whole scene like a theater play, hands folded over his belly, eyes unblinking. The corners of his mouth twitched upward uncontrollably. He finally spoke. Scarlett and Mia turned simultaneously. Uncle Frank pointed at his plaster leg, offering a friendly grin. I'm Liam's roomie, Frank. Miss, who are you two? Him? The air in the room froze instantly. Scarlett looked at me. I looked at the ceiling. Family, she said. One word. Resonant. Irrefutable. Uncle Frank's pupils contracted. Then, very slowly, his gaze shifted from Scarlett's face to the small television mounting on the wall that had been playing continuously. The screen was broadcasting highlights from the Emmy ceremony. On the big screen, a figure in a deep red gown stepped onto the stage, accepted the trophy, and stood at the microphone. Uncle Frank's head began pivoting back and forth between the television screen and the real person. Once. Twice. 3 times. His mouth opened. His lips quivered uncontrollably. "And nurse." He raised a trembling hand, his voice shaking. "Did I break my brain in the fall too? Why? Why am I seeing the person from the TV? Standing right there?" The heart monitor squealed again. I pressed the call button. Dr. Vance was summoned from the duty room. Not because of Uncle Frank, but because the head nurse noticed a suspected celebrity causing a commotion in the orthopedics ward. When Dr. Vance pushed the door open, the scene greeted him thus. Scarlett was sitting cross-legged on the empty bed beside me. She had kicked off her heels, which now stood 5 inches tall on the nightstand like a pair of daggers, using her phone to photograph my x-rays to send to some orthopedic specialist. Mia crouched in the corner on a call, keeping her voice hushed, though I still caught a few key phrases. "Not coming back, yes, skipped the rest of the gala, Boss Victoria, please stop yelling, it's not a tantrum, it's an emergency." Uncle Frank was eating an orange, sneaking pictures on his phone while munching. When I glared at him, he reluctantly put his phone away, muttering, "I wasn't gonna post it, just wanted a look." Dr. Vance stood at the threshold for 3 full seconds. He looked at Scarlett. Looked at me. Looked at the door plaque reading Orthopedics Ward 204, then glanced down at his chart. Likely confirming he hadn't wandered into the wrong department. "Dr. Vance," I spoke first, "the door hinges got damaged. It needs repair, and I can cover the cost." "He doesn't pay a cent," Scarlett said without looking up. I kicked it. "I pay." Dr. Vance adjusted his glasses. "And you are the patient's family." Dr. Vance glanced down at the word "none" written in the emergency contact column. Then looked back up at the lady before him. He chose not to press further. "Family or not, visiting hours end at 10 p.m. I'm not leaving." "But," I said, "I'm not leaving." Dr. Vance and I exchanged a look. I mouthed, "Don't push it," to him. Dr. Vance took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. The calm composure cultivated over 20 years of medical practice faced its ultimate trial in that moment. "Then please, at least refrain from sitting on the bed. It's medical equipment." Scarlett hopped off the vacant mattress, her gown rustling as it brushed against the floor. She stood beside my bed, arms crossed tightly over her chest. "Fine, I'll stand." Dr. Vance executed a strategic retreat. 1 a.m. Mia was banished to the hotel, go sleep. Relief shift at 6 a.m. On her way out, Mia threw a backwards look at me. It was a layered expression, sympathy, helplessness, and a silent plea of "please make her stop." I was powerless. Only 3 people remained in the ward. Uncle Frank was finally asleep, snoring like thunder. Scarlett sat on the folding chair beside my bed, carefully tucking the train of her gown inch by inch under the chair legs to keep it from tripping anyone. She had changed into plush slippers Mia brought. In her hands, she held a paper cup of warm water from the nurse's station. The lights were off. Only a thin strip of corridor light crept under the door, painting a narrow white beam on the floorboards. A long silence settled over us. "How did you find out I was admitted?" I asked. "Emergency dispatch callback. The operator checked your medical records from your work physical 3 years ago and found an emergency contact number." I paused. 3 years ago, during the company health checkup. There was a box for emergency contact, and I had casually jotted down a number. The only number in my contacts I had never called, yet received monthly transfer alerts from. That was a form from 3 years ago. The emergency database syncs historical entries. You ran out on the awards show? Yeah. Where's the trophy? Tossed it to my agent. Your speech? Cut it in half. The visual formed in my head, the Emmy stage, spotlights blazing, thousands watching, her standing center stage mid-thank you. How did you leave? Side wings. Did the live broadcast catch it? Probably. Then tomorrow's trending news, what's that got to do with you? Her tone was deadpan flat. Yet the paper cup in her hands crumpled under her grip, spilling a drop of hot water. Silence fell again. Uncle Frank rolled over. His snoring paused for a beat before resuming with double the volume. Liam. Yeah. The winter you were 6, the heater broke at the home. You brought your blanket over and covered me with it. Remember that? Not really. You remember. I said nothing. When I was 8, Billy stole my bread and you fought him. He was 2 years older than you, and he beat you until your face was covered in bloody noses. I swung first that time. 14. The day your parents died. You went to the funeral parlor all by yourself. Didn't let anyone come with you. Her voice softened. I was already adopted back then. After I found out, I snuck out of my adoptive parents' house and took a cab straight to the funeral home. You were sitting on the entrance steps. Rain trickled through the window cracks, soft and steady. You told me, Scarlett, I'm fine. Go on back. She paused. She set the paper cup down on the floor. And then you said, from now on, I can manage on my own. Ever since that day, you've kept repeating those words. I'm fine on my own. No need to bother anyone. No family. Her voice in the dark was so soft it was nearly swallowed by Uncle Frank's snores. Yet every word struck right against my chest. Hurt worse than broken ribs. Liam. Try saying that line one more time. I closed my eyes. My ribs creaked faintly as I inhaled. Your dress is really going to wrinkle. That 6-figure gown. A quiet, stifled snort came from the darkness. Impossible to tell if it was laughter or something else. Early the next morning, an aggressively rich aroma woke me up. Opening my eyes, 4 thermal containers sat lined up on the nightstand. 4. Chicken soup, pork rib soup, millet porridge, steamed eggs. Beside them was a grocery bag stuffed with fruit, boasting a variety far exceeding any standard soup house's menu. Scarlett sat on the folding chair. She had changed into a hoodie and jeans, ponytail tied up, makeup completely wiped clean. Bare-faced. 25 years old, dark purplish circles under her eyes. The unmistakable mark of an all-nighter. Drink the porridge first. I can. She had already scooped out a bowl. She handed the spoon to my hand. I reached to take it. She didn't let go. Not until she made sure my grip was steady did she release the spoon. Do you want to head back and rest? I took a sip. The porridge is fine, no need to watch me. She ignored me. Staring down at her phone. Notifications popped across her screen like firecrackers, dozens unread, continuously stacking up. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught a few trending hashtags. Hashtag Scarlett leaves gala midway, hashtag A-list actress disappears, hashtag where is Scarlett. Predictably, it had blown up online. Just as I was about to say something, the door opened. It wasn't Mia who walked in. It was a middle-aged woman tailored in a sharp business suit. Around early 40s, crisp cropped hair, wearing an intimidatingly dark red lipstick. She clutched a Birkin bag and walked with a breeze of authority. She scanned the ward. Saw me. Saw Scarlett. Saw Uncle Frank, who was holding his insulated mug, comfortably watching the drama unfold. Then she rubbed her temples hard. Scarlett. Boss Victoria, Scarlett replied without looking up. This was Victoria, Scarlett's manager. Known in the industry as Boss Victoria. Not because she owned the agency, but because she controlled more than any boss ever could. Victoria took 3 deep breaths. Do you have any idea what happened this morning? Scarlett swiped her screen. Trending? Not just trending. It exploded. Victoria walked to the window and cracked the blinds open a sliver. I followed her line of sight. Parked at the hospital gate were 2 dark vans. Telephoto lenses were mounted on the roofs. 7 or 8 paparazzi were pacing around the outpatient lobby entrance, phones held high. Paparazzi, Victoria hissed through her teeth. At least 3 outlets confirmed on site. The clip of you walking out of the gala last night hit over 100 million views nationwide. She turned back to face Scarlett. Do you know what rumors are spreading right now? Scarlett, no idea. They say you had a mental breakdown and fled the ceremony mid-speech. Others say you eloped with a secret boyfriend. And you're pregnant. Scarlett finally raised her head. She looked at Victoria. Victoria looked at her. Both held silence for 2 seconds. Scarlett said, then release a public statement for me. A statement? What kind of statement? Right, award-winning actress rushes overnight to be with it. Victoria's eyes shifted slowly onto me. Appraised me for 3 seconds. Young man, what's your name? Liam. What do you do for work? Structural engineer. Monthly income? Boss Victoria, Scarlett warned. I am performing risk assessment, Victoria said with terrifying composure. You, an award-winning actress, abandon an acceptance speech halfway through to rush to a public hospital, a shared orthopedics ward, to nurse an engineer making barely $1,000 a month. How do you expect me to spin this narrative? A beat of complete silence gripped the room. Uncle Frank sipped his tea. Exceptionally loud. Victoria whipped around and glared at him. Uncle Frank raised his mug in a gesture. Don't mind me, just passing through. Carry on. The man was immobilized in bed. Passing through my foot. Scarlett set her phone down. She stood up, even in canvas sneakers, her aura didn't diminish an ounce. Boss Victoria, issue a statement. Just 2 words, private matters. Scarlett, he isn't a boyfriend, isn't a secret lover, isn't scandal material for the press to dig into. Then what is he to you? Family. Victoria raised her hand to press her temple again. Her deep crimson lipstick gleamed cold under the lights. Her lip twitched twice. You've been in this industry 10 years, I've managed you for 10 years. When did you ever have family? Your brand image is the independent icon who needs no one. The brand image was your creation, Scarlett said. My family is my own choosing. Victoria's lips moved, but in the end, she said nothing more. She grabbed her bag and turned toward the door. At the doorway, she paused. Glanced back over her shoulder. Liam, was it? Yes. Don't leave this room. Can you manage that? My ribs are broken. I can't run very far anyway. Victoria ignored my dry joke. The door snapped shut behind her. Less than 10 minutes after she left, my phone rang. Noah. I picked up. The voice on the other end erupted instantly. Liam. Do you actually know Scarlett? Keep your voice down. Keep my voice down? The entire office is exploding. Someone posted a telephoto shot online of a woman in a ball gown rushing into your hospital. The picture is grainy as hell, but Mr. Zhang swears he recognized her as Scarlett. Did you fix the presentation? You're asking me about the presentation? Everyone in the company is asking how you know Scarlett. Sarah wants to come visit you. Mark offered to block the paparazzi. Chloe the intern is already shipping you too. What the hell is going on with you? Car crash. 2 broken ribs. That's not what I'm asking. Slide 7, change the blue to dark gray. The client's brand color. Don't forget. Liam, can you please just... I hung up. The phone rang again. Noah again. I declined the call. Then a text popped up. Noah, you wait right there. I'm coming to see you after work. Bringing a whole office worth of questions with me. Attached below was a meme. A hamster sitting in a cage clutching a sunflower seed, staring blankly into space. Caption, your life is far wilder than you think. I flipped my phone face down on the mattress. Across the room, Uncle Frank cleared his throat. Liam. Yeah? Are you genuinely clueless about how that girl feels about you, or are you just playing dumb? I looked at him. Uncle Frank, she's just a younger sister I grew up with. Uncle Frank picked up his thermos mug and took a long sip of tea. In my 50-plus years, I've never seen a sister kick down a hospital door wearing an evening gown. Never seen a sister sit up all night guarding a hospital bedside, either. And I damn well haven't seen a sister protect an engineer making dirt money like he's her prized possession. She might as well slap a sticker on your forehead saying taken. Trespassers suffer consequences. He set down his mug. Liam, I might not be educated, but I read people right. That girl doesn't just treat you like family. She's given her whole life to you. The room fell silent for several seconds. The heart monitor rhythmically ticked, beep. 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 I turned my face toward the window. The rain had stopped. Sunlight squeezed through cracks in the cloud cover, striking the galvanized water tank on the rooftop opposite, flashing a blinding spot of white light. I said, Uncle Frank. Huh? You should get headphones for your videos. The speaker is too loud. Uncle Frank choked on his tea for a second, muttered something about ungrateful kids, and rolled over to face the wall. Day 3 in the hospital. The trending topics hadn't died down. Instead, they flared up hotter. Triggered by a security footage leak. Someone, whether a hospital guard or someone else, uploaded screenshots from the lobby camera from 2 nights prior. In the images, a woman wearing a wine-red gown pushed through the revolving doors and dashed into the ER lobby, her train dragging rainwater across the floor, trailed by an assistant hugging a duffel bag. Low resolution, but that gown was unmistakable. She had just worn it on live television. The internet went wild. Hashtag Scarlett rushes to ER late night. Gained over 300 million views in 8 hours. Speculation ran rampant. Some claimed her mother was ill. Some said she had collapsed. Others asserted that rumors involving her and Julian were true, claiming they were secretly meeting at the hospital. Julian, right, I should mention him. Julian, 29, a trending heartthrob actor. Last month he wrapped a drama co-starring Scarlett, featuring heavy romantic scenes. At the blessing ceremony, someone snapped him handing Scarlett a water bottle, which tabloid accounts spun into secret romance content. Julian himself neither confirmed nor denied it. An ambiguity strategy. Using romantic buzz to fuel project metrics. I didn't follow showbiz. I picked all this up overhearing Mia's phone calls with Scarlett. 2 p.m. on the third day. I was sitting in bed clearing work emails on my iPad. Yes, Scarlett forbade me from using my laptop, but I secretly logged into webmail when a knock sounded on the door. A knock. Polite. 3 taps. Scarlett had gone back to the hotel to shower. Mia and I teamed up to force her out. After 2 straight nights without sleep, her dark circles looked terrifying. I called out, "Come in." The door pushed open. A man walked in. Around 6'1". Wearing a charcoal trench coat, scarf wrapped around his neck, black face mask, and baseball cap. Yet the eyes visible above the mask. It took me 2 seconds to place him. Julian. Behind him stood a younger man with glasses, holding a fruit basket adorned with a ribbon bow. Julian pulled down his mask, revealing a textbook idol face. Jawline, bridge of nose, brow bone, every angle seemed calculated by precision engineering. He scanned the ward. His eyes grazed past Uncle Frank and landed on me for a beat. "You're Liam?" "Yes." "Where's Scarlett?" "Out." He pulled up a chair and sat down. The gesture of pulling the chair was telling. He flicked the seat cushion with his finger first to ensure there was no dust before taking a seat. His assistant set the fruit basket on my nightstand. "Just dropped by to see you," he said with a faint smile. "Scarlett's." "I'm Julian, her co-star." "I know who you are. Seen you on TV." "Good." He crossed his legs, hands resting on his knee. "I hear you knew her when you were kids?" "Yes." "What kind of knowing?" I looked at him. He looked back at me. The smile remained fixed on his face, but his eyes were devoid of warmth. "Neighbors? Relatives? Or?" He paused. "Childhood sweethearts?" The phrasing carried a deliberate inflection, pitched upward with clear probing intent. "Grew up together," I said. "Where at?" I didn't answer. That was not a part of the story meant for me to disclose. Julian didn't rush either. He leaned back against the chair in a relaxed posture. But a vein pulsing on his neck betrayed his composure. "Liam, let me give it to you straight." "Go ahead." Scarlett's situation this time has caused quite a storm. People online are saying all sorts of things. Some of it isn't great for her image. He glanced at me. "If you truly treat her as family, the best thing you can do is stop letting her come to this hospital." He softened his tone deliberately, layering it with a patronizing air of "I understand this industry better than you ever will. She's a public figure. Being tied to a, no offense, to an ordinary person hurts her brand equity significantly. You ought to understand." He stood up, patted down the hem of his coat. "I'll leave the fruit basket here. Rest up." He turned to walk out. "Julian." He stopped. "Yeah?" I set the iPad aside and looked straight at him. "You didn't come here to see me." His smile held for a second. "You came here to figure out what my relationship with her really is, so you know how to play your next PR move." The smile evaporated. Silence swallowed the ward for 2 seconds. Uncle Frank's fake snoring cut out right on cue. I knew he wasn't sleeping. He was faking it. Julian's gaze shifted, switching from friendly senior to something distinctly colder. "Liam, you really, I don't know your industry," I said, but I know one thing for certain. Scarlett chose to come see me. I didn't ask her to. It was her decision. Do you really think her decisions need you to correct them? Julian pressed his lips tight. Behind him, his assistant hung his head, accidentally crushing the ribbon bow on the fruit basket in his fist. Fine, Julian uttered a single word. Then he turned and left. His leather dress shoes clicked across the floor, his stride significantly faster than when he walked in. The door clicked shut. Uncle Frank flipped around immediately. Liam. Yeah? Badass. That was badass. Better than a drama series. Uncle Frank, thought you were sleeping? Light sleeper, can't help it, he grinned shameless as ever. Those lines of yours, do you really think her decisions need you to correct them? Absolute gold. I want to record that for my ringtone. Go back to sleep. Can't sleep now. Too much action. I gotta call my wife and tell her. I threw my pillow at him. 6 p.m. Scarlett returned. Showered, dressed in fresh clothes, looking slightly refreshed, though the shadows under her eyes remained. Mia followed behind her, arms full of supplies as usual. The moment Scarlett stepped inside, her eyes locked onto the fruit basket on the nightstand. She stared at the crushed bough for 2 seconds. Who brought this? Uncle Frank opened his mouth. Stranger, I said. Nurse passed it along. Uncle Frank glanced at me and swallowed his words back down. Scarlett lingeringly stared at the basket for a second longer, but chose not to interrogate further. She unscrewed the thermos's black chicken soup today, and poured me a bowl. Drink. I can. She reached over to hand it to me. When I took the bowl, my fingers brushed hers. Her fingertips were icy cold. I frowned slightly. Did you skip meals again? She paused. There's too much soup. Have some too, I said. Her fingers tightened slightly around the rim of the bowl. Then she spoke, okay. Her voice was barely above a whisper. Across the ward, Uncle Frank covered his mouth, laughing soundlessly. The heart monitor silently registered his rising pulse. Day 5 of hospitalization. My ribs were mending. Recovery was progressing better than expected. Dr. Vance mentioned that if all went smoothly, I could be discharged in 2 days, though I'd need at least a month of rest. Good news, no more hospital stay. Bad news, I had zero incoming stream of extra cash for a month. Workers' comp medical leave covered my base salary, enough for rent and basic food, but not enough to clear the installment plan for my health checkup expenses. Yes, my finances were tight enough that I had to pay medical checkups on layaway. I didn't share any of this with Scarlett. Then Noah showed up. He came by after work in the afternoon. My colleague and half-friend, 5'10", wearing sequined spectacle frames, which he deemed stylish, carrying a bag of savory breakfast crepes from the street vendor near our office. The moment he stepped inside, he surveyed the room like an archaeologist unearthing a lost civilization. This is where you're staying? Yeah. Conditions are pretty rough, man. Why not get a better room? My insurance coverage tier only covers this. He sat down, placing the crepe on my lap. The internet is losing its mind, you know that, right? I know. What is your actual relationship with Scarlett? The company chat group is wilding out. Sarah says you're secretly married. Mark thinks you're a stalker fan. Chloe the intern, ignore her, has already penned 3 fanfics on Reddit titled Love with Broken Ribs. Noah. Yeah? Can you tell her to delete them? Tried. She refused. said she already hit 400 bookmarks. I took a deep breath. My ribs throbbed. Noah opened the paper wrapper, releasing the aroma of spicy sauce. For real though, what's between you two? I won't post it anywhere. I hesitated for a second. We were at the same children's home growing up. Noah's hand froze mid-air. He slowly turned to look at me. Children's home? Yeah. He put the crepe down. You grew up in a children's home? Yeah. You never mentioned that. Nothing to boast about. He leaned back against his chair, staring up at the ceiling. A long silence ensued. So, that time you turned in your medical form with the emergency contact left blank, it wasn't because you were lazy. Yeah. And missing every single company team building outing wasn't because of social anxiety. Yeah. He stopped talking. After about a minute, he pushed the crepe back toward me. Eat up. Extra spicy sauce. Thanks. Put me down as your emergency contact next time, he said. I gave him a look. You've lost your house keys 3 times in 1 month. Those were accidents. All 3. You once got drunk, called me for a ride, and sent a pin location in another state. The GPS glitched. Noah. Yeah? Thanks. He scratched his neck awkwardly. Just buy me dinner after you get discharged. Deal. For real though, make it a nice spot. Don't skimp with street food. The door slid open. Scarlett stood in the doorway. Hoodie, jeans, ponytail, holding a thermal container, with Mia trailing behind her. Her eyes hit Noah, then landed on the street food on my lap. Noah saw her. His mouth dropped open. Then opened wider. Like a fish gasping for oxygen. Why you, my coworker, Noah, I introduced to Scarlett. Hi, Scarlett gave him a polite nod. Noah lurched backward, nearly tumbling off his chair. He grabbed the bed frame, his glasses sitting crooked on his nose. You're really. She really is, I confirmed. Oh my God. Noah's voice was shaking. He pointed at Scarlett, then pointed at me, back and forth several times. Her, is she really, you guys, how did you, Noah? Syntax. He grabbed my arm, leaning in to whisper, though the whole room heard every word loud and clear. Liam, is your life secretly way better than you made it out to be? I make $8,000 a month. Then she doesn't want my street crepe. You can eat the whole thing. Scarlett walked over. Setting the thermal jar on the nightstand, she casually reached out, picked up the crepe bag from my lap, and inspected it. What's inside? Spicy sauce, eggs, crispy cracker. Noah's voice dwindled to a mosquito's hum. No vegetables. Scarlett slipped the bag back down. He can't have greasy food right now. Noah looked at the crepe, then at Scarlett, then back at me. His lip quivered. Liam. Yeah? I hate you. Across the ward, Uncle Frank timed 3 rhythmic claps perfectly. Discharge day was bathed in bright sunshine. Dr. Vance signed off on my release forms, reiterating instructions 6 times, no heavy lifting, no strenuous movement, come back in 1 month for a checkup. Scarlett stood beside him recording on her phone. She literally recorded every single medical directive, with an expression stiffer than when acting in front of cameras. Mia arranged a ride downstairs. As the 3 of us is myself, Scarlett, Mia, walked through the lobby, nurses at the station craned their necks in unison. A young nurse blushed and gave us a subtle wink. Not at me. At Scarlett. I noticed Scarlett wore a mask and cap today, but her proportions gave her away, and her walking posture differed distinctly from ordinary people. Hard to articulate. It was that paradox of I am constantly dodging cameras, yet I am the spotlight itself. We got into the car. Where to? Mia asked. My apartment, I said. Scarlett began. My place. On my own. She fell silent. Though her expression screamed 4 words, just you wait. I lived in an old residential building in the Southside district. 5 floors up, no elevator. Rented it for 6 years. Monthly rent was $300. The place was tiny. 1 bedroom, 1 small living room. The living room held only a folding table and a single chair. The bedroom contained just a bed, a wardrobe, and a floor lamp. In the kitchen, there was only 1 pot, 1 bowl, 1 pair of chopsticks, and 1 mug. No decorations. No photos. No plants. White walls. White curtains. Even the bedsheets and pillowcases were plain white. The entire apartment looked like a newly renovated model unit that no one had ever moved into. Or a motel room ready for someone to pack up and leave at any moment. When I unlocked the door, Scarlett stepped in right behind me. She stood at the threshold for several seconds. Didn't walk in right away. Mia paused too, standing in the stairwell holding a bag of my hospital belongings. Come on in, I said. Leave your shoes by the door. Scarlett took a step forward. Her gaze started from the entryway, swept across the living room. The folding table held a laptop and a stack of blueprints, then shifted to the kitchen, countertop spotless to a reflection, and finally to the bedroom door. She walked into the kitchen. Pulled open the dish cabinet. 1 bowl. 1 pair of chopsticks. 1 mug. Her hand rested on the cabinet handle, frozen, not closing it. Liam. Yeah. You've lived here 6 years? Yeah. 6 years. 1 bowl. Her voice was level. Yet her knuckles clutching the cabinet handle turned white. 1 bowl is plenty for 1 person, I said. She closed the cabinet door. Walked out of the kitchen. Crossed the living room. Pushed open the bedroom door. Nightstand was bare. No photos, no books, no personal belongings whatsoever. The wardrobe held 2 jackets, 3 shirts, 2 pairs of trousers. Colors: dark gray, black, navy blue. Not a single extraneous item. Not even her voice dropped soft. Not even what? A photo together. She turned around to look at me. Her eyes weren't red. Yet that expression tightened my chest worse than red rims ever could. It was the realization of, I spent 14 years sending you money you never spent a dime of. I spent 14 years wanting you to live better, yet you live in a place like this, eating off 1 bowl, without even a single photo. It was heartbreak without tears. I refunded all your transfers, I said. I know. You didn't need to, Liam. She stepped up right in front of me. Looked up, without heels, her head reached just under my chin. Do you think I sent money because I thought you needed cash? I stayed silent. I sent money because that was the only way I could stay connected with you. Her throat tightened. Every month, I transfer it. You refund it. I transfer it again. You refund it again. As long as that transaction keeps cycling, I know. She paused. That you're still alive. A heavy stillness hung over the living room. Downstairs outside the window, kids ran by shouting, "You can't catch me." Sunlight filtered through the white curtains onto her hair, framing stray wisps in a halo of soft gold. My throat bobbed. "Let me pour you a glass of water. You only have 1 cup. Then you drink first." She stared at me for 2 seconds. Then turned around and opened the front door. "Mia." An echo came up from the stairwell. "Scarlett. Go buy bowls." "Buy 2. Huh? Bowls? What kind?" "Doesn't matter. Big ones. The kind that hold soup." "All right." Mia's footsteps clattered rapidly down the stairs. Scarlett turned back toward me. "From now on, this home has 2 bowls." Her tone brooked no argument. I leaned against the doorframe, watching her. Her expression, fierce yet aggrieved. Identical to her expression at 11 years old, looking back at me from the window of that adopting family's car. Suddenly, my 2 mending ribs throbbed with pain. Not the ache of fractured bone. Something else. The next day. Before I could even settle into my peaceful solo recovery, a news notification popped up on my phone screen. Headline: A-list actress's secret late-night hospital visit. Insider reveals man raised in orphanage with 0 assets. I tapped the article. The piece was carefully crafted. It didn't explicitly name names, yet every single detail pointed directly at me. According to sources, the man was raised in a local orphanage, lost both parents at a young age, currently rents in an impoverished old district, works an entry-level technical job, and falls into the lower middle income bracket. Industry analysts suggest the individual may be leveraging the opportunity to create clout, latching onto a celebrity for personal gain. Fans express concern that Scarlett's sympathy might be exploited, calling on her team to manage risk strictly. Comments section: an A-lister visiting a guy making pocket change? Suspect motives. Is he one of those clout-chasing gold diggers? Scarlett, wake up. Don't get trapped by a sob story. Classic parasite leeching off fame. I put the phone down. Honestly, these comments didn't rattle me. I didn't use social media. No Twitter, no Instagram, no TikTok. Aside from messaging apps and work emails, the most used app on my phone was a structural mechanics calculator. If they called me poor, I was poor. If they accused me of chasing celebrities, I had never once initiated contact with her. If they called me a parasite, every single cent she ever transferred me was returned intact. 7 years. Not a penny kept. So those words couldn't hurt me. However, Liam. The phone rang. Scarlett. I picked up. Did you see it? Saw it. What do you think? Doesn't matter. What do you mean doesn't matter? They wrote facts. I did grow up in a children's home, I have no assets, and my income is modest. Silence held on the line for 3 seconds. Then, Liam, listen to me. I'm recording a video right now. To do what? To set the record straight. No need, this isn't a negotiation. Scarlett. Yeah? If you come out and address this, there's no turning back. Your public image, your commercial value, your adoptive parents, Liam. Her voice suddenly dropped low. Incredibly level. Absolute composure. Do you honestly think standing where I am after 10 years in this industry was built on a corporate persona? I stayed silent. I built this on my work. On craft honed scene by scene. On audience trust in who I am as an actor, not in some manufactured good girl from a scholarly home. She paused a beat. A brand image is just a shell. I don't need a shell. But, Liam, you pushed me away once. When you were 14, you told me to go back, said you could manage on your own. You gave up ground once, and I couldn't stop you. She drew a breath. You're not giving up ground this time. Because I'm not leaving. The line went dead. I sat before the folding table in my living room, clutching the phone. Sunlight crept through the blinds, casting a glowing beam across the tabletop. The screen remained lit, showing the comment thread beneath the tabloid piece. Parasite. Clout chaser. Broke nobody. I flipped the phone face down. Then closed my eyes. Truth was, those comments weren't completely harmless. Not because they insulted me. Because every additional comment added another ounce of pressure onto her shoulders. And she, ever since she was 3 years old, refused to shed a single tear in front of anyone. The heavier her burden grew, the tighter she bit her lip. I wasn't afraid she would break under the weight. I was terrified that she would endure it. Endure it every single time. Until the day she finally collapsed, with no one standing beside her to catch her fall. And me, a structural engineer making $8,000 a month. What could I possibly do? 2 hours later. Scarlett's social media page updated. A 15-minute video. No text caption. No title. Just a direct headshot camera angle, her sitting against a plain white backdrop, bare-faced, hair in a simple ponytail, wearing a gray hoodie. She looked into the lens. Hello everyone. I'm Scarlett. This video has not been approved by my management team, nor evaluated by PR. Should there be any repercussions, I take full personal responsibility. She paused for a second. Regarding my departure midway through the award gala, I want to share the true reason with all of you. I went to the hospital. Not because I was sick, but because someone deeply, deeply important to me was in a car crash. His name is Liam. He is not my boyfriend, not a scandal partner, and certainly not the clout chaser rumor posts claim. He is my brother. We grew up in the same children's home. When I arrived at 3 years old understanding nothing, he shared his meals with me, gave me his blanket in the winter, and stood in front of me whenever I was bullied. He is 3 years older than me. At 18, he left the home, working and living entirely on his own. No one backed him. When he was 14, his parents passed away. He handled the entire aftermath alone. He never complains. Never asks for help. Never claims he has it rough. Her eyes reddened. He even, when filling out hospital emergency contact forms, wrote down none. She looked down briefly, breathing for 3 seconds. When she looked back up, her voice was steady. People call him poor. Yes, he makes a modest salary. But every single dollar is earned through his own hard work. People say he latches on to me. The truth is, over these 14 years, every monthly transfer I sent him was rejected. Returned in full. 7 years. Never broken once. People call him a parasite. She smiled faintly. There was no anger in that smile. Only a deep, ancient ache, worn down by time until almost translucent. He is the least parasitic person I have ever known. He is the kind of man who drains his own blood just to share it with others. So, with this video today, I am not addressing rumors, nor am I managing PR. I simply want you all to know one thing. Liam is my family. He is the most important person in my life. And nothing will ever change that. The video cut out. An hour later, #Scarlett Childhood Home, #Scarlett's brother, #Liam swept the top 3 trending topics simultaneously. The comment sections exploded. Only this time, the tide had completely turned. Crying my eyes out. The story about the 2 bowls broke me. So she transferred money for years and he kept returning every dime? My God. Anyone coming after Liam from now on answers to me. This is what real family looks like. I sat on that folding chair, watching comments scroll line after line across my phone screen. Until the dark screen reflected my own face. Only then did I realize how sore my eyes felt. On the windowsill sat the 2 bowls Mia bought yesterday. White porcelain, large enough for soup. Placed side by side, catching the afternoon sun with a clean, gentle sheen. My vision blurred for a second. A second was enough. Then I set the phone down, stood up, and walked into the kitchen. Turned on the stove. Boiled a pot of water. 14 years. For the very first time, I scooped porridge into 2 bowls. 3 days after the video aired. Victoria had anticipated a long, grueling brand repair battle, yet no enemy showed up on the battlefield. The public bought in completely. Raw truth carried far more weight than any manufactured persona. Netizens actively dug up past interviews where she claimed to be independent and self-reliant, overlaying them with her video. Turns out her "I can make it on my own" wasn't a slogan, she learned it watching Liam growing up. Scarlett gained 2 million followers overnight. 3 major brands reached out offering endorsements. When Victoria called, her tone had flipped from "Are you insane?" to "That was a masterstroke move." Yet I knew Scarlett wasn't playing moves on a board. She was genuinely furious. As for Julian, his downfall hit fast. Not because of Scarlett, but because of his own undoing. The day after the video dropped, someone leaked a screenshot of a chat log online. The screenshot revealed Julian's studio account making a paid placement with an entertainment news blogger, promoting the exact slander piece targeting me. A-list actress's secret late-night hospital visit. Insider reveals man raised in orphanage with 0 assets. The insider was his own team. The screenshot spread like wildfire. Julian's agency released a midnight statement blaming an intern's operational mistake. Nobody bought it. The tone and timing in the chat logs matched his demeanor during his hospital visit to a T. No offense, hurts her brand equity, you ought to understand. The public backlash was swift and ruthless. Disgusting. Play nice to his face, stab him in the back. He really has the nerve to call himself her co-star? So he scouted the hospital and immediately bought a hit piece? Julian is finished. Within 3 days, Julian lost 4 endorsement deals, and a major upcoming drama faced recast demands. His manager issued 3 separate public apologies, each longer and more groveling than the last. Yet public perception, once capsized, no amount of rowing can right the ship. I pieced all this together through texts from Noah. He spammed me with a dozen messages a day, packed with screenshots, memes, and exclamations. Noah, Julian crashed and burned. Did you see it? Noah, you knew he was dirty when he dropped by your room, didn't you? Noah, that line you've hit him with was legendary. Do you really think her decisions need you to correct them? I quoted it to Sarah, and she said she wants to frame it over her desk. Noah, by the way, presentation went through. Client loved the dark gray. Noah, without you we almost flipped back to blue. Noah, when are you taking me out for dinner? I replied, when my ribs heal up. He replied instantly, fine, I'll eat on your behalf first. New hot pot spot opened nearby. I'll send photos while I devour it. Below came a picture of marble beef swishing in a bubbling copper broth. I closed the chat window. 7 p.m. The doorbell rang. I went to open the door. Scarlett stood outside. Wearing a khaki trench coat today, her freshly blown dry hair falling over her shoulders. Holding a large shopping bag. What's all this? Things you need. She walked inside, crouched in the living room, and opened the bag. Inside were 2 sets of bedding. One navy blue, one light gray. A warm-toned bedside lamp. A small picture frame. And a potted pothose plant. You need new duvet covers. Plain white looks too cold. She pulled out the navy bedding. Lamp goes on the nightstand so your eyes don't strain reading at night. I don't read much. Then just leave it there. She placed the pothose plant on the windowsill. Vibrant green leaves rested against the white sill, right alongside the 2 white porcelain bowls. Then she picked up the picture frame. Inside was a photograph. Old. Creased edges. Faded yellow. 2 children standing before an old brick building. The boy, around 9, skinny enough to count his ribs, wearing a faded blue t-shirt. Holding half a steamed bun in his hand. The girl, 6, short hair, eyes dark and bright. Tightly clutching the hem of the boy's shirt. Nailed to the wall of the old building was a rusted plaque, St. Vincent's Children's Home. Where did you get this? I kept it all along, she said. Carried it in my pocket the day I left the home. She set the frame on the living room folding table, right beside my laptop, resting against the stack of blueprints. Then took a step back to inspect it. Is this spot okay? I stared at the photo. The boy in the picture looked stern, expression unreadable, yet the half bun in his hand pointed gently toward the girl. The girl was smiling. Missing a front tooth, her eyes crinkling into crescent moons. A sudden lump formed in my throat. Liam? Spot is good. My voice came out raspier than I intended. She stepped over next to me, standing still. I towered over her by a head. She looked up at me. From now on, never say no family again. Scarlett, change your emergency contact to me. You're too busy, change it now. Take out your phone. She held out her hand. Palm up. Long, clean fingers with trimmed nails, the gel manicures she wore for set shoots were completely gone. I stared at that hand. The lines on her palm showed clearly under the warm light. When I was 6, you shared your food with me, she said. When I was 8, you took hits for me. When you were 14, you didn't let me walk with you. You stepped back for 14 years. Liam, it's my turn now. Her hand remained extended. Steady. Not a flicker of shaking. Yet her eyelashes trembled softly. I stood there. The warm light bathed her face, illuminating the faint mole on the bridge of her nose that had been there since childhood. The leaves of the pothose on the windowsill swayed gently in the evening breeze. I pulled out my phone. Opened contacts. Cleared the emergency contact field, it was empty anyway, having been wiped after that physical 3 years ago. Then typed in a number. Her number. Tapped save. She glanced down at the screen. The contact tag read, family. Her lip twitched. Then she looked up. And smiled. Not the practiced, polished smile meant for cameras. It was a tight press of her lips that gave way, curling upward until her eyes crinkled and turned red at the rims. And as she smiled, tears trickled down her cheek. She quickly swiped them away with the back of her hand, rubbing hard. You're crying, I said. I am not. You are. I said I'm not. Shut up. She turned away, back facing me, shoulders trembling. I stood behind her. Hesitated for a beat. Reached out and patted her head gently. Softly. Just like 14 years ago at the gates of the children's home. Stop crying. I'm not crying, let go, take care of yourself. Her shoulders shook even harder. Yet she didn't brush my hand away. The living room was quiet. On the sill sat 2 white bowls, a pothose plant, a warm lamp, an old photo. Far more than what was here before. Yet somehow, it felt like exactly what a home ought to look like. A month later. My ribs had healed. Dr. Vance noted during my follow-up that recovery was excellent, 10% faster than average for your age group, probably thanks to solid nutrition. He glanced at the thermal container I brought along, mushroom and pork rib soup today. On follow-up day, Noah insisted on coming along. Waiting at the hospital main entrance, he bumped into Mia, who also came to pick me up. Standing side by side, Noah in his sparkly frames, Mia in her black-rimmed glasses, looking oddly harmonious together. "You're Liam's co-worker?" Mia asked. "Yeah." "You're Scarlett's assistant?" "Yeah." "Is it tough?" Mia looked at him. "Do you know what it feels like trying to buy soup bowls at 3 in the morning?" Noah fell silent for 2 seconds. "I know what it feels like searching for house keys at 3 in the morning." The two locked eyes in silent empathy. Matching dark circles under their eyes from dealing with their respective superiors gleamed under the sun. Back at the office, routine returned. Presentations were still presentations. Clients were still clients. Project deadlines were still tight enough to make anyone swear. Yet some things had undeniably shifted. My desk gained a potted cutting of the pothose plant, split from home. Noah glanced over. "When did you start raising plants?" "Gift." "Scar, don't shout that name in the office." Right, he hushed his voice. "Gilded gift?" "Yeah." He looked at the plant, then looked back at me. "You've changed." "How so?" "Your cubicle used to be as sterile as a morgue." "Work on your analogies." "Now there's greenery," he said. "Feels like a living person sits here." I ignored him. Though the pothose on my desk was indeed thriving. Leaves unfurled one by one, vines trailing out of the pot, reaching toward my monitor. Watering it every morning reminded me of the 2 white porcelain bowls standing side by side on my windowsill. Uncle Frank got discharged. The day before leaving, he called me up. "Liam." "Uncle Frank." "I'm discharged." "Congrats." "That Scarlett girl of yours, she's good people." "Yeah." "Told my wife." "She agrees too." "Thanks, Uncle Frank." He fell silent for a moment. "Liam, let me say one last thing." "Go ahead." "Don't push away people who treat you right. Some people only cross your life once." "Yeah." "Those bowls, buying 2 was the right move." I chuckled softly. "Got it. All right. Come over for dinner sometime. My wife makes killer braised ribs." "Will do." Hanging up, I suddenly realized my contacts list now held the name Frank. Along with Noah. And Mia, who Noah pulled into a group chat named Broken Ribs Support Club, currently 4 members strong. The address book had grown significantly compared to 3 months ago. Friday night. I was cooking at home. I had cooked alone for 6 years, no, not alone tonight. Scarlett sat at the folding table in the living room, laptop open, conducting a video conference with a director. She had recently taken on a new film about a legal aid lawyer. She had already read the script 3 times, and seen outlines covered in notes stacked high on the table. Her meeting voice floated into the kitchen from the living room, rising and falling. The twist in Act 3 isn't convincing enough. She wouldn't compromise in that situation. Her core character trait is defiance. I need another polish on these lines. The oil in the pan sizzled hot. I tossed and diced tomatoes, sizzle, and cooking steam rose up. Liam. Yeah? Did you turn on the range hood? I can't hear the director. It's on. Just speak louder. Her voice jumped an octave. Hold on a second, director. Liam, what are you cooking with all this steam? Scrambled eggs with tomatoes. You used too much oil. Are you an expert chef now? I'm no chef, but I know you put too much. I can smell it. The director said something on the call, likely go ahead and take care of that. Scarlett quickly wrapped up the meeting, pushed her chair back, and dashed into the kitchen. A tiny kitchen barely held 2 people without bumping shoulders. She stood beside me, tipping her toes to peek into the pan. Told you, way too much oil. All right, out. You cut the tomatoes way too large. Out. You scramble the eggs first, Scarlett. Yeah? You burn instant ramen noodles. Get out. She glared at me, pouting her lips. Though she knew I spoke absolute truth, last week she tried making ramen for me and boiled the pot dry twice. She lingered 3 seconds before finally stepping back. Didn't go far though. Stood right in the kitchen doorway, leaning against the frame with arms crossed over her chest. At least let me watch. Watch all you like. Hum. She stood right at the doorway, watching me cook. Flames danced under the skillet, steam pulling upward into the vent. The sweet and tangy scent of tomatoes wafted through the air, merging with the golden aroma of fried eggs. Her gaze rested softly on my back. I could feel it. Liam. Yeah. Forgot to mention something. What? Heading to the film sets next month. Shooting on location for 3 months. I flipped the ingredients in the skillet. Got it. Can't come back for 3 full months. Yeah. You alone here, I'll eat properly. She paused for a second. Use both bowls. How does one person use 2 bowls? One for rice, one for soup. I turned my head to look at her. No smirk. Utterly serious expression. Fine, I said. One for rice, one for soup. The tension at the corners of her mouth finally eased. Not a smile. Relief. I plated the scrambled eggs with tomatoes, white porcelain bowls. Large ones. The kind that hold soup. 2 bowls, 2 servings. She took her bowl and sat down at the folding table in the living room. The photo on the table, the picture of 9-year-old and 6-year-old kids, sat beside her laptop. In the frame, 2 children skinny as reeds stood facing each other. Right now, the 2 people outside the photo sat facing each other as well. Separated by a folding table. On the table sat 2 bowls of food, a laptop, an old photograph, and a vine from the pothose reaching over to brush against her elbow. The setting sun outside flooded the living room in a warm golden orange. I picked up my chopsticks. Let's eat. Hum. Chopsticks tapped the edge of the porcelain bowl with a soft clink. It was a 1-bedroom rental apartment. $300 a month. No luxury furniture, no opulent decor. Yet on the windowsill sat 2 bowls and a pot of green leaves. On the table rested an old photograph. And the emergency contact field on my phone was no longer blank. This was my home. No longer just for one. Hey there, could you rate this story in the comments? Use a scale of 1 to 10, please, I'm begging you, it really means a lot to me. And if you like this kind of content, don't forget to hit follow.